Hi, I'm Maggie. You guys asked me to do a video on how to cook some stuff, so I chose to do a video over something that I made the other day called... That's Zach. You just heard that. That's good. Anyway, gonna make something called bananapple bread. There's a couple of ingredients. There's more ingredients than I usually use, but it's all pretty cheap stuff. All of it's vegan. You got flour. You can just use regular flour, all-purpose flour. You want raw sugar, turbinado sugar, because regular sugar, you guys probably already know this, is not vegan because they use bone char to make it. You want baking powder. It's pretty cheap stuff. You can go ahead. I'll just edit you out. This is that. Maybe I won't edit you out. This dude's the reason that I have a waffle maker right now. What was I saying? Oh, okay. So you need cardamom. This kind of optional. Some people don't like cardamom that much, but I dig it. And you need cinnamon. Let's see. You're gonna need 3 bananas. So just buy a bunch of bananas. You're going to need either coconut milk or almond milk. It needs to be the drinkable kind, not the sugary kind that comes in like a can for making desserts and stuff. It's stuff that you put in like your cereal. You need maple syrup. I don't think it really matters what grade. I like this kind, spring tree. I don't know. And you need, where did I put that? And you need dark Karo syrup, which I bought this like a year and a half ago when I was making pecan pie, and I still have it, and it costs like $1, so it'll last you for freaking ever. The next thing that you're gonna do, oh, I left out one really special ingredient, and this ingredient is basically now my preferred egg substitute. Is like a combination of apple cider vinegar and baking powder. It's kind of cool. It's like, you know, when you made a volcano when you were a kid, it's the same kind of concept. And apple cider vinegar, you can buy like a giant jug of it, and you can use just a little tiny bit of it and it'll last you forever. You can also use it to condition your hair. I do that, but by the way, I guess I'm going to have to edit this in later, but the first thing you should have done was preheat your oven to 375, because I always forget to do that, and then I have to sit there with the batter forever, and it sucks. Oh, and I guess the last ingredient you're going to add this on the top is cocoa powder. So you want the unsweetened cocoa powder. The last thing that we want to add to this is apples. So as far as hardware goes, you're going to need 2 separate bowls. The reason is you're going to mix the dry ingredients separate from the wet ingredients, and then you're going to mix the 2 together. It's just like a good, pretty much anytime that the directions don't specify that, well, like which order you mix things in, you want to mix all the dry ingredients first, because it just, especially when you're baking desserts, it just turns out a lot better. So what you want to do is you're going to need 2 cups of flour. So open up my flour over here. I ran out of flour, so I had to go to the store. Let's see, where's my little measuring cup? There we go. This guy is, each one is 1 cup, so I'm just going to measure 2 in there. Got 1. I don't have to be super exact, but just one around 1 cup apiece. So we've got 2 cups of flour in there. Now we want 1.5 cups of the sugar. Like I said, you want to use turbinado sugar. There's cheaper turbinado sugar out there than the sugar in the raw, but I tend to like this stuff better. I don't know exactly why, just some of the turbinado stuff has a weird smell. Hey. Alright, so let me measure out. Ooh. That's a lot of sugar when you really think about it. a lot. This is not a diabetic friendly dessert, unfortunately. You could probably make this with stevia though, and it might be, I've never really tried anything with stevia. I'm kind of on the fence about artificial or non-sugar sweeteners, but I'd be willing to try. So let me see here. Now we need a half of a teaspoon of baking powder. So let me see here. Got my little teaspoon here. Let's pop this guy open. I don't actually have a teaspoon that is marked a half a teaspoon, but you can just take a regular teaspoon and then fill it half full. It's like the same thing. Doesn't matter. Improvise. That's my best advice. You want just a little bit of cinnamon. Probably want to hit it into the bowl like 2 times, maybe a little bit more. So maybe like 5 times is what I just did. And with cardamom, if you do decide to add cardamom, cardamom is really strongly flavored, so you really only need probably like 1 dash of cardamom. So I'm just going to do that. There we go. Alright, so you're going to want to whisk all of this together until it's really, thoroughly mixed together, until all the ingredients are in there together. So you don't want like any of the baking powder, like there to be pockets of, flour or baking powder or anything like that. It's not going to taste very good. Kind of show you what it probably looks like. It's about like that. You can see that. You can set this aside for a second. So you're going to want first half cup of either almond milk or coconut milk, whatever you're using. It can be sweetened, unsweetened. It's going to turn out pretty much the same. So you want a half cup of that. It's a little bit more than a half a cup, so I'm going to pour a little bit of that into the sink. Okay. 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Like I said, it's super, super cheap, and it's a really good replacement for eggs. I really like it. So just dump that in, and then you need to mix these 2 ingredients before you mix the rest of the wet ingredients in. So just whisk it together. There you go. So it's nice and combined. It'll kind of look like that. It looks, well, you can't really see it because there's not very much, but it looks basically like just milk. It doesn't matter. Let's see. Now you're going to add your fruits. So you're going to take 3 bananas. And you're going to peel them, obviously. Oh, come on. These guys are tough. Okay. This is my favorite thing to do. I don't even use like a masher or anything. I just squish them up with my hands like that. Just make sure you wash your hands first. You don't want to be like squishing up bananas with dirty hands. That's just nasty. But let me see here. Got 1. Ugh. It's so gross, but it's so much fun. Let me see here. Banana number 2. Ew, look at that. Oh, I lost a little bit of banana. That's okay. I think I'm gonna go ahead and throw that away because I've swept my floor, but nah, I've mopped it in a long time. So let me see here. And then your 3rd banana. I don't even really like eating bananas, just the, like, I don't like the texture, I don't like biting into them, they're just nasty, but like, bananas in stuff, oh my gosh, so good. Let me see, here we go. Alright, at this point you're probably going to need to wash your hands. Alright, next part you're going to want to do is add a 1/4 cup of canola oil. So canola oil is like my favorite fat cooking oil. It's awesome. Let me see. What did you say? Quarter cup. Ooh. About that much. There we go. Let's see. Now you're going to want 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. I've got a little convenient measuring tools, like this is 2 tablespoons, luckily for me. So let me see here. 2 tablespoons. There we go. Alrighty. And 2 tablespoons of this dark Caro syrup. Am I saying that right? I don't even know. It's so gooey. Look. Ew, ew, it's so gooey. It's like this slime. Okay. Alright, let's see where we're at now. And just gonna chop them up, core out the middle. And you want to chop them up into pretty small pieces because you want the pieces, the heat in the oven to cook the pieces all the way through. Where did I put my big old knife? There it is. I need to get better camera recording equipment so you guys can actually see what I'm doing down here. But you know how to cut up an apple. It's not that hard. Just to give you an example of the size pieces that I'm talking about here. You can kind of see these are pretty small little chunks. So. I used Gala apples for this, but you could probably use really any kind of apple that's good for, you know, baking pies or anything like that. I'd be interested even to know what like a Granny Smith banana apple cake would taste like. Probably be pretty good. Let me see. So now that you have all of your wet ingredients together, you can see here, you're going to mix them together. You can use that same whisk from before, just mix them up as thoroughly as you can. Alright, now you have those all mushed up and mixed together. You can see kind of what that looks like. You're going to add these to your dry ingredients. Just gonna mix that in there. All the stuff out. And then I recommend using not a whisk for this because if the whisk gets it all like stuck in the middle, it kind of sucks. So, let's see here. This is kind of what this looks like. There you go. You can kind of see that. And what you want to do is take a glass cooking pan. You can see that. And you want to spray it with canola oil if you have some kind of canola oil spray. Or you can just take regular canola oil and you can kind of brush it around. Let me put this right here so that you guys, here, let me prop you up so you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. So we're going to spoon this in. There we go. There we go. Okay. And once you've got most of that in there, you're going to take a little bitty teaspoon that you were using earlier, and you're going to take your cocoa powder. You're going to scoop up a little bit, and what you're going to do, you just kind of gently tap the spoon so that you get kind of, ooh, there's a little clump there, an even sprinkling of the cocoa powder. And you can kind of see, I'll turn you so you can see. You can kind of see that there. Alrighty. And then you're going to want to take your maple syrup, and you're just going to very, very, very gently pour just a little swirl of it in a spiral like that. So let me turn you so you can see that. You can kind of see, probably see how much my hands are shaky too. Every time I try to take a picture it's like that. Alright, let's see. There we go. And then the last thing that you're going to do is take your knife and you're going to kind of drag it through to make, like, you know, a little creative pattern so you can, it's not going to turn out, I'm not like a, you know, a sous chef. It's not going to turn out like the patterns aren't going to stay, but it'll give kind of like a modeled appearance and it looks kind of cool. So what I do is just drag like this. There you go. Alright, and then what I did was do kind of a swirl. On this one. On the one that I did the other day that was in a square pan, I did more like a square design, but here you go, you can kind of see how that looks. Doesn't really look like anything, but it looks kind of cool when it comes out of the oven. And then the last thing that you're going to do is you're just going to stick it in your oven that you already preheated to 375. And you're going to leave it in there for about 20 minutes. You want to check on it after 20 minutes by using the toothpick test. So we're going to do that next. I'm just going to go ahead and stick that in the oven and we'll come back once it's cooling. Yeah.